connecting retailers to consumers. That's what e-distribution platform Just Buy Live is all about. From panwalas and kiranas to supermarkets and chemists, anyone can buy or sell on this platform. Joining us is the Chairman and CEO, Sahil Sani. Sahil, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks.
So take us through how this is a unique platform and very different to what we're seeing on some of the other sites.
Yeah, so Just Buy is a brand-to-retailer application, which on one side we have retailers using, and the other side you have brands supplying. So what we're trying to do is amplify the traditional distribution business that's been around since over 100 years. Headlined by some of India's top brands like Unilever on one side, and Apple and Samsung and so forth.
Right.
So we're the first company to put an application into a retailer's hands.
Okay, fantastic. So take us through, how long have you been functioning? How did this work in terms of just getting this up and off the ground?
So I've been a distributor in my other business for like 16 years already, so it wasn't something new. The process was not new, but of course building a tech platform was fairly new to me. We incorporated last year in April. It took us about close to a year to build a very solid, large technology-based platform, which like I mentioned, on one side is brands and one side is retailers, to connect the two so over 1 billion lines of code have been written. So it's been a year in the making. We launched commercially in the market April 1st this year. And it's been an interesting ride since then. And
you already got your Series A funding as well.
Yes, we did.
So take us through, what you're using those funds for, what the kind of growth trajectory is looking like.
Sure. So the first round of funding we raised, so I self-funded to a point, and then we realized that the project is really large, so we went for outside capital.
Yeah.
So what we did, we used the funds to basically onboard retailers. We have over 60,000 so far, over 2,600 brands on board. So having the people, so we have over 300 people on our rolls and doing various functions. So most of the money was spent on onboarding brands and retailers, and also building the tech platform.
Okay, so run me through a sense of the kind of opportunity you see here. I ask because it's becoming a fairly crowded space,
right,
and there are all kinds of different kind of combinations that are coming up, and it's also becoming increasingly easy for a lot of these stores to go direct to market, right? So in that context, a platform like yours, what is the kind of opportunity? Also given the kind of fundamental shifts that we're seeing in the retail space, that we may actually see some of their businesses itself come under threat.
Interesting point. So 2 points I'd like to address here. One is that Just Buy, we never intended to solve parts of the problem.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, there are many, many companies and startups trying to solve a small part of the larger supply chain equation. Like you have companies trying to lend to retailers, you have companies trying to just allow them price discovery or list themselves or sell on other people's platforms. We're not doing that. We're trying to solve the entire supply chain issue. So, and that entails lending to them, supplying to them, communicating with them, and also drawing all this data, which is going to be very beneficial to the brands on one side, right? And also using this data to help retailers make more informed purchasing decisions. So in a sense, we're a complete 360 platform, right? And nobody's attempting to do this on this scale. On the other side, it's because the scale, it's too hard to do, okay, for any small startup. So it's going to take a lot of capital, a lot of, I know the pain that we went through to build it so far. So,
what were some of the questions that you were asked in your meetings with investors?
Oh, interesting one. So because it's a fairly new space, and last year was all about consumer, and it's a fintech and food tech were popping up all over the place. It was challenging to convince them of the model because we're trying to, like I said, amplify a space, a traditional space, right? So there are a lot of questions: are retailers going to be savvy enough to be using this? Do they know? Is there going to be a language issue? Why would brands come on board? Why would brands disrupt their model?
Yeah.
But we successfully overcame that. And during the process of fundraising, we actually gave them evidential proof that retailers are coming on board and brands are coming on board. So this helped to, speed it up that process.
So give me a sense of the numbers then, in terms of, how many brands you have on board, or the kind of growth numbers, or some sense.
Sure. So we're tracking actually amazingly well this year. In fact, just yesterday we crossed a big landmark. We did our first 100 crores in sales.
Fantastic.
We have over 2,600 brands on board, and by this I mean actual distributor contracts signed with us. So it's not just a marketplace. Over 60,000 retailers verified on our application. Over 25,000 of them have already transacted, and that's one of the highest conversion rates in e-commerce in any category. So.
Okay, and you mentioned the lending bit. Tell us about that, because that's unique to you as well.
It is. So every distributor's job, last mile distributor's job, is to allow credit line to their buyer, and this constitutes the working capital that retailers use to build their businesses, because they don't have access to banking loans. right? So we create a product called Udhar, okay, a word that they understand more, more acceptable to them. And so through the app, completely tech-based platform, lending platform, we open up a credit line, similar to a consumer credit card, but this is a business line, right? And it's cost them absolutely nothing. So now we're actually, even though we're an e-distributor, we are now lending out money to retailers in the guise of a credit line. And it's the first banking product in this space. Like I said, we're not giving a loan, we're allowing a credit line. We have a really high take rate. We've crossed 50 crores in lines out there already, and the target is to go over 1,000 crores in the next 15 months. So it's going to be an industry first for this one.
Oh, fantastic. So give me an idea, because it's a new business dynamic, and there are a lot of different things that you're working on at the same time. But what is the kind of operational break-even point that you see? I mean, how long before that? I know it's hard to kind of...
No, actually, we've got that down to the wire.
Tell me that.
We're very mindful of profitability. We're not a typical startup. We'll connect and add on 1 million users and then start make money. It's a traditional business using technology. We make money from the get-go. We have positive unit economics from day one. We have gross margins positive already from day one. By the end of this year, we'll not make money this year on a net basis, because we're investing so much in building the platform and acquiring retailers. But we start to make money in 2018 on a net basis. So.
Okay, so it sounds great. Sahil, being a startup, and there's been so much conversation in India about the ease of doing business, and how the government's also trying to give a real push to startups. Now, take us through your experience, where you feel perhaps the edges could be smoothened.
GST is going to be a big play. I have to put it out there. It's going to enable all the small retailers and brands on one side just to make things easier to, because right now we're structured in a state-wise format. It's almost impossible to transact interstate unless you're a very large operation. GST is going to make life very easy. But having said that, I took upon the challenge to build this before GST came, because it would be a very strong barrier to entry to my competitors. And now we've used this runway to actually build a large platform and get so many users on board. And once GST hits, when it does, we'll be the biggest player out there. But having said that, there's a lot the government can do to make things better. And I think they're on the right direction now.
Fantastic. It sounds very exciting, and we look forward to hearing more from you and Just Buy Live.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much. All right, that's all we have time for on the show today. Thanks so much for watching.